A question from AT&T and FirstNet. When you dedicate your life to saving others, don't you deserve something dedicated to you? We think so. That's why the government chose us, AT&T, to build FirstNet, a one-of-a-kind nationwide network for first responders. Because their connection changes everything. Learn more at firstnet.com.
So one of the things that I realized when I went into private practice is that I thought that I knew it all, that I thought because I had this entrepreneurship sort of side of me and passionate side of me, and that because I also had so many years being a clinician, that was going to be sufficient for me to start a practice on a strong foundation. And I was really like, there was like this huge knowledge gap as well, because like you said earlier, Gordon, graduate programs are not don't typically incorporate business training in their curriculum. And so there was a lot of unknowns for me that I was starting things basically on trial and error.
This episode is brought to you by TherapyNotes, TherapyNotes.com. For the past 20 plus years, I've been working in the mental health field as a licensed therapist, private practice owner, coach, and consultant. And I've learned a lot the hard way, and I don't think you need to do the same. Hi there, I'm Gordon Brewer, and welcome to the Practice of Therapy podcast, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your practice, or looking for fresh inspiration, this podcast is here to support you in your journey. Each week, we explore the real-world challenges and opportunities that come with building and growing your private practice. From marketing and money management to ethics, client care, and self-care, we cover it all. You'll hear from leading experts, seasoned clinicians, and innovative voices in the mental health and allied health fields, all sharing their insights and strategies to help you thrive in your practice. So let's jump in and get to today's episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast. Everyone, and welcome to the podcast. This is episode number 430 of the Practice of Therapy podcast, and I'm Gordon Brewer. So glad you've joined me for this particular episode. So I get into a conversation with Katie Piura. I'm looking forward to you getting to know her some. Katie and I talk about mindset shifts that it takes when you go into private practice. You know, that's been a theme that I've had in past episodes as well, just thinking about how we need to think about our practices a little differently when we go into private practice. I think for a lot of people, and I think it's the paradigm is shifting, but I think for a lot of people, when we went through graduate school, we just really did not get any sort of training in the administrative side of running a practice, or the money side, or the business side, however you'd like to put that. And so Katie and I talk about some of those mindset shifts that we both had to make when we went into private practice. And also, the other thing, too, that we touch on is just about kind of our money mindset as well, which is a huge thing that a lot of people struggle with. I know in working with people and doing consulting, that is one of the things that a lot of people struggle with. So hopefully this episode's going to give you some food for thought for those kinds of things. And before we get to my conversation with Katie, I would invite you to go over to the website, practiceoftherapy.com, and check out the resources there. But also, if you're interested in working with me and doing some consulting, I've got several different individual consulting clients now. I'd love to have that conversation with you. And you can go over to practiceoftherapy.com, click on the link there at the top of the page that says coaching and consulting, and you can go to that landing page and book a free 15-minute brainstorming session with me. We could talk about your goals and maybe the areas in which you're struggling, and seeing if we might be a good fit for each other and doing some individual consulting. So be sure and check that out. And also, before we get to my conversation with Katie, I'd love for you to hear from our sponsor of the podcast, TherapyNotes.
Hi, this is Rachel, Gordon's podcast assistant, and I want to share the platform Gordon trusts for his own practice, TherapyNotes. TherapyNotes is the highest rated EHR, practice management, and billing software for mental health professionals. It's an all-in-one system for scheduling, notes, billing, and secure client communication. And if you ever need help, their 24/7 customer service is always just a call or email away. Their latest update, Therapy Fuel, uses AI to streamline documentation, generating progress notes, creating contact notes from client messages, and even summarizing client history forms, saving therapists hours every week. Are you ready to give it a try? Head to therapynotes.com, click Start My Free Trial, and use the code Gordon to get your first 2 months free. See why TherapyNotes is the most trusted EHR and the one Gordon chooses for his practice. Please enjoy the rest of the show.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm excited for you to get to know today Katie Piura. Welcome, Katie. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Gordon. Thank you for having me. I've been listening to your podcast, and I love how you make every guest feel welcomed and at ease, and all the great tools you teach to clinicians.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. And Katie, as I start with everyone, tell folks a little more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon. So I'm a licensed therapist, coach, and also the founder of Haven Youth Counseling, which is a practice located in the Miami area and also serves the DC metro area. So I started, working in agencies like government settings, university settings, nonprofits. And throughout my time there, I realized that I wanted to continue to helping clients, but I wanted to help clients differently. I realized that in those settings, there was a lot of experiences that I gained, but I was starting to experience some kind of burnout. And so it wasn't until I got hired to work at a group practice in the DC area where I was practicing before that I really started enjoying the private practice side of things and realized that I also had an entrepreneurship side. So entrepreneurship actually runs in my family. Like my parents are entrepreneurs. A lot of my family members are entrepreneurs. And I didn't realize that I also had that skill in me. So I started, in working at a group practice, I started realizing how the business side of private practice could intersect with the clinical side. And now I started my own practice and help clinicians also start their own.
And I know as we were just kind of chatting about a little bit before we started, and also just what I know about you is that you had brought up the fact that most graduate programs don't teach us any of the business skills or the entrepreneurial side or the operational side of running a practice. And so it's stuff, as I like to say, we have to learn the hard way. And I think it's good that we have folks like you that are willing to teach folks about all of that. And so I know one of the things that is a big part of this, a big piece of this, are the mindset changes we have to make. So what have you learned about that? And what did you notice when you went into private practice that changed for you, and just thinking about it all?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a really, really good question. So one of the things that I realized when I went into private practice is that I thought that I knew it all, that I thought because I had this entrepreneurship sort of side of me and passionate side of me. And that because I also had so many years being a clinician, that was going to be sufficient for me to start a practice on a strong foundation. And I was really like, there was like this huge knowledge gap as well, because like you said earlier, Gordon, graduate programs are not don't typically incorporate business training in their curriculum. And so there was a lot of unknowns for me that I was starting things basically on trial and error. And I was, like I said, I thought that I didn't really need a lot of help. And in my work with clinicians now, I also discover that there are other clinicians who feel the same way, because we are helpers. We believe that we might not need help ourselves. And so that really deters clinicians from seeking support when it comes to the business side of things. And so I realized that on my own, and I realized with the clinicians that I help. And so one of those mindset shifts is sort of like, how do you take off the helper hat and receive help yourself? Because it is important for your practice to have a strong foundation, for you to also learn about business strategies and learn a little bit more of the intersection of the clinical side of things and the business side.
Oh, right. And I would add to that I think anyone going into private practice, it's always good to have supports available for you, because it can get really lonely in private practice, especially as a solo practitioner, of just not having the people to network with or just bounce ideas off of and all of that sort of thing, particularly around the business side of things. I know I'm grateful for the mastermind group that I'm part of with my good friends, and it just helps me when we get together, just kind of talk through things. I mean, it's kind of like therapy in a way, but it's not.
Yeah. No, I think I am also grateful. So for me, it was like I had mentors who were coaching me. I think that the hard part is when you're first starting out is, the investment that you can have on certain things is limited. But thankfully, I had, some of my mentors kind of coaching me through things, and I was learning that way. I've always been like an eager learner, so I was learning that way. I found a business coach that was helping me on a sliding scale, and I was learning from him. And then I also discovered Joe Sanek's Practice of the Practice program, and they have a monthly membership. So I thought like that monthly membership was reasonable, and I learned, so much from that. And then I ended up enrolling in an entrepreneurship program for Latinas. And so for me, it was like, all right, like I do need help when it comes to this. And I really love, that there are actually supports out there for clinicians.
Yeah. Well, besides, receiving help for yourself, what other mindset shifts did you notice that you were making? I know you came from an entrepreneurial background, so that's a leg up a little bit. So, but so what other things did you notice?
Yeah. Thank you. I think a big mindset shift is also this thought that somehow being a clinic, that starting up, that having a practice is, as a clinician, is really at the odds with business. It's like, how do you view the business from a different lens? And for me, it came a lot from also in grad school, right? Like there was this quote that was often referred to, and you might have heard it before too, is that we're not in it for the income, we're in it for the outcome. And although I believe that is true, and starting a practice should not be money driven, that's not the why for your practice. And I actually don't recommend that, because your practice is not going to be sustainable if that's your why. But there needs to be some mindset shifts when it comes to business and money, right? Because if you do start it as a business, you technically, legally have to make a profit, right? Or unless you'll get in trouble with the IRS if you don't, right? And you deserve to also make a livelihood. So the way you run your business, the way you run your practice needs to be in alignment with your goals and values, your business goals, and also, how you want to serve clients. And so the mindset shift is how you view money, right? Instead of viewing money as an enemy, look at it as an asset and look at it as a door that's going to open doors for you to help clients, right? Because that's what I found, right? Like being at the odds with business, being at the odds with money, as if that somehow was wrong, right? But it really is about like, if you're able to like sustain yourself, sustain your practice, you down the line are going to probably have opportunities to be able to help others. You could create scholarship spots in your practice. You could donate to the causes that you want to donate to. So I think the mindset shift is how business and money are viewed.
Right. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a hard one for a lot of people because, like you had mentioned, all of us have kind of hearts of the helper hearts. And so we want to help people. And you're exactly right. I don't think you should go into this without that being at the core of what you want to do as far as helping people. But as you mentioned, if a practice is not making a profit, it's not going to be able to help people anymore. Because you've got to pay yourself. You've got to make a living, unless you've got tons of money tucked away and just starting a nonprofit or something. But even at that, even nonprofits have to make a profit in order to stay open. And so that's the bottom line for any business or any sort of, profession.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing too that you mentioned, Katie, that I think is important for people to remember is that money is just a vehicle. I mean, it's just a tool maybe to help you do the things that you want to do. It's what, fortunately or unfortunately, that's what keeps everything going for everyone is the money that exchanges and the economics and all that kind of thing. And so just to look at it as a tool I think is an important piece rather than an enemy.
Yeah, and it could also help reduce burnout in some way, right? If you set the fees that are that align with maybe the work-life balance you're looking for as well, it could help reduce burnout and help you even dedicate more time to quality care in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think too, as you mentioned, I think everyone has to check in with their why. What is it that you're wanting to gain by going into private practice? And if, I tell people all the time, if you don't have kind of a entrepreneurial bent or a little bit of that drive to do kind of the entrepreneurial thing, it's probably better that you continue to work for an agency or work for a group practice somewhere. But it sounds like that's been so much part of your background that it was important for you to meet that need.
Yeah, it was definitely important for me to meet that need. I didn't know I had to do some soul searching because I didn't know. I reached a point where I was like, I had worked in so many different jobs that I reached a point of like, what job do I do next? And I even had a moment where I was just like, do I want to continue being a clinician? Is this what I want to continue to do? Because I was experiencing that burnout that I was telling you about. And so it wasn't through kind of that soul searching and that I realized, that it isn't necessarily the mental health field that I want to exit from. It's the way I'm doing it. And through private practice, I was able to really resonate with many things like, speaking to your ideal client, working with the clients that align with your strengths and having kind of that freedom to do so, as opposed to agencies where you take what they give you. And so I was able to realize that, wow, this like really resonates with me. And like, if I feel like I'm taking care of myself in the way that I'm working, then I'm showing up better and I'm actually helping clients, solve or bring or speak to my client pain points in a more authentic way. And so it did for me take, a lot of like soul searching, and like the entrepreneurship side was there. On the side, I was already starting like a makeup business where I was providing makeup services. And so I knew, there was, like you said, that entrepreneurship bit, but I had to shift that mindset of like, wait, can entrepreneurship happen as a clinician? Like, is that even appropriate? And I realized, you know what, like it can, and it can actually make a difference.
Yeah. And it speaks to as well the importance of creating a niche for yourself that is something you're passionate about and something you enjoy. And like you mentioned as well, it really, I think, ultimately makes us much better clinicians when we're working with our ideal client and we're not experiencing the burnout from working with people or the types of things that just don't energize us. So, yeah, I think that's so important. Yeah.
So that actually segues, Gordon, into the mindset shift of marketing being a self-centered thing. What I'm noticing is that a lot of time that some clinicians view marketing and putting yourself out there as being salesy, as being self-focused. But the reality is that marketing speaks to the pain points and speaks to what your ideal clients need to hear from you, right? Like it isn't just about sales. It's also a way that your ideal client gets a preview of what it is like to work with you, and is able to also see you as a resource. Like if you're an educator, so to speak, and you love educating clients on mental health, you could do that through the social media channels. You could do that through the blog, so to speak. You don't have to do videos if that's not what you enjoy, but you can share snippets of, your resources. And that's a way where clients get to know that style of you and actually see you as a resource, and can even help clients who may not necessarily be ready for therapy or may not necessarily have the insurance or the financial capacity to work with you right away, but you're already being a resource. So you blending your resourceful strengths with marketing isn't necessarily self-centered. It actually ends up helping people as well.
Yeah. There's that old adage that you can build it, but you've got to tell them about it for them to come. And so, yeah, I always, there are plenty of clients out there for all of us. And I think to add to what you're saying is that marketing helps those people find you. And so if they don't know about you, they're not going to be able to come to you. So marketing is a way for them to be able to find you. And I think that's a great way to think about it.
Breaking news for your home. Way Day is here. It's Wayfair's big sale, where you can score the best deals in home, like up to 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Way Day long. You won't find better deals for your home anywhere else. We're talking furniture, decor, rugs, and more, all at Wayfair, and all up to 80% off during Way Day. So don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Way Day now through April 27th to score the best deals in home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Some people like working twice as hard just to stay right where they are. And in Ohio, we really don't get it. Because to us, owning a home in your 30s, working in tech without the traffic, and still being able to make it to your kid's soccer game sounds pretty good. In fact, Ohio is the second most affordable state to buy a home. Your move. Learn more at yourmoveohio.com.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it really is about changing kind of how you view marketing, and even getting help with marketing, right? Like, and getting support around that and how to do that if that's not something that is necessarily your strength.
Well, Katie, I know you've put together a little course, so tell folks about that.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon. My course is called the Private Practice Start. The Private Practice Start is a 5-week program that teaches therapists how to launch their practice through business strategies. So you'll hear from me, but you'll also hear from experts in business, marketing, and accounting. And so I started this, Gordon, as seeing the knowledge gap that there can be. And I really wanted for this to be a way for clinicians to learn about how to use their strengths, how to really reflect on their mission and vision, their why, and also that intersection of the clinical side of things and business. And yeah, so it's a 5-week program. It actually begins tomorrow, April 11th. But if I know it's a little short notice, but if it is going to be recorded and available for access if you can't be part of the dates. And yeah.
Okay. And we'll have links in the show notes and the show summary for people to get that easily. So Katie, I guess I've got to be aware of our time and your time. Any parting thoughts that you have for folks?
If starting a practice has been on your mind and you didn't receive the knowledge on the business side of starting a practice, you shouldn't let that stop you. There are resources out there. You being a helper does not mean that you don't deserve help yourself. There are people out there like Gordon, like Joe Sanek, even myself, right, who are there to help you. There are so many resources out there, so you shouldn't let that stop you. And I do have like a special message for BIPOC clinicians as well. As BIPOC clinicians, we haven't received a lot of mentorship. There aren't really a lot of BIPOC clinicians doing what we see ourselves doing. But that doesn't mean that you can't be successful. You have it in you. And the odds that you have overcome as a BIPOC clinician is a testament of your ability to also be able to achieve the success that you want to achieve. And yeah, those are my last words.
All right. Well, that's great. And again, we'll have Katie tell folks your website so they can maybe, if they're listening or driving or whatever, they'll be able to get to it.
Yes, thank you. KatiePiura.com. And you can also find me on Instagram, KPiura, LCSW.
All right. And again, we'll have links in the show notes and the show summary for all those places. And again, Katie, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Gordon, for having me. It's been great.
Well, again, a big thanks to Katie for joining us on the podcast, and be sure to check out her things. Again, you'll find links in the show notes and the show summary, but her website address is katiepiura.com. And again, check her out on social media and on her website. And hopefully that you can find her a good resource and a good person to talk to about maybe some of these things that we talked about in this episode. Also, before we go, I'd love for you to have a conversation with me about maybe doing some individual consulting. And again, you can go to practiceoftherapy.com and click on the link there that says coaching and consulting, and we can book a time together. So check that out. And also, big thanks to TherapyNotes for being a sponsor of this podcast. As you've heard me say over and over again, to me, they're the leading electronic health record system for mental health providers. They're who I use in my practice, and absolutely am totally impressed with all of the things that they keep doing to make their product even better, but also just how big of a help they are in my practice. I know it is really the hub for my practice as far as scheduling and clinical notes and filing insurance claims. All of it's done in the one location. And so be sure and check it out. If you'll go to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. And when you go there, if you'd like to try them out for 2 months for free, you can do that by just using the promo code Gordon, Gordon. and you can find out more about them. And also, I meant to mention this at the beginning, but one of the things I'd invite you to do is go over to our YouTube channel at the Psychcraft Network and take some time to subscribe to us and watch some of the great videos that are over there. This podcast we're now putting out in video format. In addition to that, I'm doing some short, I don't think they actually qualify as video shorts, but shorter videos just around different things around private practice, and also get a lot of questions about just men's mental health issues. And so I've been doing some content around that as well on that channel. But if you'll go to youtube.com/Psychcraft Network, that will get you to the channel, and take time to go listen to it. So take care, folks. We've got more great guests coming up, and looking forward to being with you again on another episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast. You have been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. Please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com for more information, resources, and tools to help you in starting, building, and growing your private practice. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to receive the free Private Practice Startup Guide at practiceoftherapy.com. And to find more great podcasts like this one, please visit the Psychcraft Network at psychcraftnetwork.com. The information in this podcast is intended to be accurate and authoritative concerning the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, or producers are rendering legal, accounting, or clinical advice. And if you need help in these areas, be sure to find the right professional to help you with these things.
Lonesome Tour. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The incomparable Beck live.